Not tonight, honey. I have a... Oh, I just don't love you anymore.
That's marriage for you. But don't worry, pal. I got you covered.
Hey!
It was just funny to see how people just immediately went over the guy's best interest and understanding that, hey, man, this guy isn't having sex with his wife. What do we need to do to help this man? They immediately went to the woman and was like, well, that's messed up. He needs to control his sexual desires. He is controlling them. She ain't having sex with him. So what is he supposed to do? So this is the post that's actually helping my page grow so much. And I just want you guys to listen to what I'm saying, and then we'll go ahead and break this down, because I'm starting to learn a lot about YouTube and the YouTube audience over there. So here we go. If you don't want to have sex, but your husband is still attracted to you and he's still attractive to other women, what do you expect him to do? My suggestion, let him have a side piece. Side piece ain't never tired.
What's the first thing she's going to do? She's not going to have sex with him anymore. Wrong answer.
That's right.
Wrong answer, because guess where he's coming? He's coming to me. And everything's going to be all good when he gets there, because I'm going to lay it out for him. He's not coming to an apartment with a pissy mattress. He's coming to a 5-bedroom home with a 70-inch screen TV. When he comes through the door, I have his drink and the remote, and he's having a great time. And he doesn't have to worry about you, the kids. That's his escape. Wow. And we're going to have a great time.
She's educated.
And guess what? I'm going to send him right back home.
Sometimes men do it behind your back and you never know. But if you don't like sex like that anymore, then let him go ahead and get a little piece on the side. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. If a man is still sexy attracted to his wife and he's still sexy attractive to other women, but his wife doesn't want to have sex with him, what is he supposed to do? I said you should just let him get a side piece. If you don't want to have sex, then let him go ahead and get a side piece. And the clip that I used was from an old clip from the Michael Bazin podcast that I used to listen to. There was a woman that called in where she was explaining it from the side piece perspective, or the side chick perspective. She was a professional side chick. And she says that most women like to believe that when men have side chicks, they're coming to a woman that has an old rundown place, the mattresses on the floor. You know, she said, no, he's coming to a 5-bedroom home with a 70-inch screen TV, and you know they do what they need to do, and she send them right back home. But the purpose and the premise of me posting that was to get our attention focused on sexless marriages, and also how prevalent it is. I was watching a Rollo Tomasi clip where he explained this very thoroughly, that there are a lot of sexless marriages.
Because most women, when they have been married for 3, 4, 5 years, they don't feel that indignation anymore. They feel so comfortable that they think that, well, nobody will ever want my husband. So I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. Right. I can look however I want to look. And they simply give up on that because they know that they have the upper hand, particularly from a society.
Or that he's locked in for religious reasons. That's
that he's locked in.
Thing, right?
Yes. And that's the whole TradCon thing. He's supposed to do that. Or he's staying with me because of the kids, right? Well, the 20% here that's having sex once a month. And even then it's probably just boring starfish sex, right?
It was rare that I saw people that gave advice for the man. They always went to the woman. Well, if he gets a side piece, then she needs a side piece as well. But I was like, well, why would she need a side piece if she's the one that doesn't want to have sex? And that just shows you how much we don't care about the husband in marriages, because that's an issue that he has to deal with. So I put up the post, did the poll where I asked on Facebook and on YouTube, a wife has no health issues, but decides that she no longer wants to have sex with her husband, even though he's still attracted to her and he's attractive to other women. What would you advise him to do? Most people said no sex equals divorce. He needs to get a divorce. And second, they had no sex equals side chick. Agreed to let him have a side chick. The others were tied, which was sexless marriage and both get sides. That people are okay with husbands divorcing their wives because she's not having sex with him. And from the most part, from what I've heard from women in these spaces, is that they think it's messed up if a guy divorces his wife just because she won't have sex with him. But now I'm starting to understand that people are leaning more into believing that this is the way to go. Because that's why the reason why I wanted to ask this question is to help women understand it from the male perspective. If you don't want to have sex and there's various reasons why women stop wanting to have sex with their husband. Maybe it's postpartum depression. They may be more focused on taking care of the kid. They gain some weight. So there are reasons. However, if there's nothing to be fixed after a year, 2 years, which is how long a lot of these sexless marriages go, then what is he supposed to do? And you have to think about it from the aspect of, let's say the woman is doing everything right, but the only thing missing is the sex part. So you want him to get a divorce just because he's not able to have sex with his wife? So that's why I said, let him have a side piece. Let him get his rocks off with that woman, and you guys keep your marriage intact, especially for the kids. Because telling a man to get divorced, if it's a sexless marriage, it doesn't provide a safety net in regards to the court system. He still can get everything took from him or half his stuff took from him if he takes his wife to court for a sexless marriage. And yes, in certain states, you can divorce your wife for that, but that does not absolve you from getting taken to the cleaners when you go to that court. And if there's no prenup in place, then yes, you are definitely susceptible to getting reamed in the court system, in divorce court.
You don't want to be with the girl it doesn't work on, because you'll be the guy who's just trapped in a sexless marriage or whatever, or a sexless relationship.
Yeah, and then you'll be eventually, you'll have a kid, because one day, even though in that amidst that sexless relationship, she's gonna offer sex one day with the intention of having a baby, and then you'll be so desperate and deprived of any sort of affection, and then you're gonna end up with a little you, and then they're gonna be running around, and then eventually. Trapped. Yeah, and then you're trapped. Legally bound. Yeah. That's your life now.
So for all the people that are saying, hey, just get a divorce, it's still going to affect him, because he may be out of the house. He won't be able to see his kids probably, and he may be out of half his assets. So my advice was to let him have a side piece so he can have sex and continue the marriage. I mean, hey, let's be honest here. There's going to be men that are going to do it behind the back anyway. Behind your, so if you can come to an agreement and say, yo, I like what you're doing for me in marriage, but I understand that you don't want to have sex with me anymore. How about we introduce another woman so I can have sex with her and you continue doing your wifely duties? And if you decide, hey, I want to have sex now, then I'll stop having sex with this side chick. That's an agreement. That was my solution, but people took offense to that. And women were sitting there saying, you're promoting side chicks. I'm like, you completely overlooked the fact that she doesn't want to have sex with him. What is he supposed to do? Just go without? That makes no sense. This woman right here, she said, wow, did he really promote men and women to allow the laws of God to be broken because a man can't control his sexual desires? Again, this post had nothing to do with the man controlling his sexual desires. It's the fact that his wife didn't want to have sex with him. And I said, what's your solution in this situation? She replied, I'm not here to debate my statement. Thank you. Lord have mercy. It was just funny to see how people just immediately went over the guy's best interest and understanding that, hey, man, this guy isn't having sex with his wife. What do we need to do to help this man? They immediately went to the woman and was like, well, that's messed up. He needs to control his sexual desires. He is controlling them. She ain't having sex with him. So what is he supposed to do? Right? So, Moni said, yeah, the man should have a side piece. Yeah, so I was like, man, that just makes sense. If the marriage is fine and she's just not in the mood to have sex, and men want to have sex, then to help her husband out, yeah, just make an agreement and let him have sex with somebody else, especially if he's still attractive. Because one of the other scenarios that people kept introducing for some odd reason, well, what if his manhood ain't working? I'm like, that is not the topic of discussion. We're talking about him not having sex. Of course, in this scenario, everything works. He's still an attractive man. So he could get other women, but out of respect, he wants to be like, yo, let's make a deal. Let me go ahead and get a side piece and we can continue our marriage because everything else is great. The kids are being raised well. I just need to have sex. And that would be the agreement that it seems normal to me. Just think about that. Like if any ladies want to put themselves in a man's shoes, if you're a man who's going to the gym every day, you going to work, women flirting with you, you have, you know what I'm saying, you want to be faithful to your wife, but your wife is not having sex with you, then he's just supposed to go without? Like, that's crazy to me. Or instead, if he's not going to go without, you telling him to get a divorce and risk you know, losing half of his stuff. That makes no sense. Why don't you just make a deal? And it seems logical to me, but I don't know.